Hello, how y'all doing? Itching already? Just got started. There's a heat wave going on, so that's just the way it is. So I'm going to talk about the cheap property update. There still are some bargains out there. You really got to do your research if you want to do buy some property in Arizona or Colorado. I do urge you to just go on the internet and do that research to see if you can find some either cheap properties or tax delinquent properties. Like I said in the previous videos, if you buy a property, if you want some cheap property or tax delinquent property in, for example, Arizona, you got to go to that particular county to see what the rules are, etc. Because sometimes they only sell the tax delinquent property a certain time of the year. But there's still a lot of properties out there. I've seen some shacks that sell for 250. I saw a shack the other day that sell for 300K. So a lot of these houses are overpriced. Okay, but they shacks, but they're overpriced. So I urge you to buy the abandoned properties in various counties. Like I said, I saw a property the other day for $5,000. It was a shack, but it had a decent yard. So what do you do with a property like that? It's abandoned, but look, it had a decent yard. So what do? You tear the shack down, you demolish the shack, and you build your own property, or just put a wart up there. But it has to be better than living on Skid Row. I do urge you to buy abandoned properties or tax delinquent properties. The reason why there is a housing crunch is because there's 25 million Central Americans illegally in this country. They are competing for housing. They let 100,000 Afghanistan people in. They are competing for housing. They allowed 100,000 Ukrainians in, rightly so, because they're in a wartime situation. They are competing for housing. Now the Cubans are coming to America. They're going to compete for housing. Where they're going to get the housing or the apartment, I don't know. I guess Uncle Sam is going to pay for everybody's rent. But Uncle Sam is not going to pay for an American's rent. If you're an American, whether you're Black American, white American, American Indian, Uncle Sam is not going to pay your rent. Uncle Sam will tell you you own your own. But if you're a Central American, Uncle Sam will pay your rent. If you're an Afghanistan person, Uncle Sam, Ukrainian, Cuban, Uncle Sam will probably pay your rent, even if it's $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. Okay, but Uncle Sam is not going to pay for your rent if you're an American. I'm telling you that. And Uncle Sam sure ain't going to pay for your rent if you're a Black American. Okay, so you can buy an abandoned church that nobody wants. You can convert that to a living space. I urge you to buy the churches. They don't want them. The people who own the church don't want them. They relocate. There are a lot of abandoned properties still in Alabama. There are some in Mississippi, in Georgia. Everybody keeps flocking to Atlanta. You don't always have to flock to Atlanta. You can go to some of the outlying areas, okay, and buy an abandoned property. So I urge you to do that. And a lot of you who are homeless and living on the street, you have nothing but time. So you may as well get on the internet. If you're in Atlanta, for example, go to the library. I don't urge you to go to social services. I urge you, if you are homeless right now in Atlanta, I urge you to go to the library. It is free. Get you a library card. Get on the internet and search and find those abandoned properties in various counties of Georgia. And there are a lot of those properties. So that is the cheap property update. They are still out there, but I urge you, they're not making any more land. Okay, I urge you to buy these abandoned houses and tax delinquent property. Now, this is a time when everybody's going expensive. They're buying. I saw a house that cost $250, and it wasn't even worth $250. No way it was worth $250. But that's because the houses are hyperinflated. So I urge you in this time period of hyperinflation to buy something really cheap. Buy those abandoned properties that nobody wants. Buy the abandoned plantations that nobody wants. Okay? Buy those overgrown houses that doctors used to live in, but they don't want anymore. I urge you to do that. Particularly if you're a Black American or poor. If you're a poor American, I urge you to do that. So that is the cheap property update. Have a nice day.